Community college. There was one time I had slept with the light on, and I felt a heavy presence in my room. At the same time, I couldn't tell if it was good or if it was bad. The presence was very heavy in the sense that I wasn't alone. It was a presence that could not be ignored and deserved reverence. Around that period of time in my life, I used to listen to the Christian radio station in Spanish and had been relocated to that room because my Haitian friend was pregnant and her husband had been released from prison and was now living with her. The leaders of the shelter decided I should move into another room within the house. The shelter was located in Washington, D.C. It was a shelter for women and their children. Special permission was given to me to stay at that shelter because I had stopped going to Montgomery College. Failure to not go to the college was comparable to getting pregnant unexpectedly and out of wedlock within my Nigerian culture or among my parents. At the time when I lived in Washington, D.C., the price to go to college or anywhere within the USA was like paying out of state fees or paying double the amount to go to any school. I had decided not to go to school during 2000. At the time, I was living with my dad, and my mom found out I wasn't going to school. I was at a stage in my life where I had decided to live with my dad and not to live with my mom anymore. Although I was a practicing Catholic, when I would argue with my mom, I saw something invisible jump out of me and into her, and when she yelled at me, I saw the same image of someone jump out of her and enter into me, and I would yell at her. I decided yelling was not the best way to handle a mother-daughter relationship. I wanted to be at peace with her. I knew she was around her 40s, which is around the same age I embarked on writing this story, to know hormonal changes, failure to control my own emotions, and words coming out of my mouth had hurt loved ones in the process. But I was willing to change, only it would be in baby steps, with God gently and slowly leading me to deliverance and recovery. When my mom had found out I no longer wanted to go to the community college in Maryland, she came to my dad's apartment and informed me either I go back to school and continue living with my dad, or I choose to move out and not to go to school. I was paying for school out of pocket. I accumulated student loans from studying at Niagara University, New York. I had decided not to pursue nursing degree with the school, and to leave the school, I had to sign an agreement I would pay back the student loan they would lend to me to cover whatever financial aid and scholarships could not cover. It took me some time, and I had just finished paying it off with the McDonald's and intern job I had as a government employee. I must have been around 19 or 20, and just the thought of student loans at that time and living in Washington, D.C. and paying double for being a D.C. resident didn't make logical sense to me. For a young adult, I thought very intelligibly. I told myself Washington, D.C. is considered out of state, and why am I paying double just to go to an out of state school? If it were really, if I'm really living in the state capital of the United States of America. So my mom told me I had a week to decide what I wanted to do, but my mind was already made up, and I saw this as an opportunity to start going to Christian churches while living with my dad because we were practicing Catholics. I would go to neighboring Catholic church, and I was starting to enjoy going to another Christian church at McDonald's. I had met a Christian family, and they had invited me to their youth events, and I really liked it. They were very nice people, very cheerful, very joyful, and I think I really wanted that liberty to go to the church of my choice, and I saw that peace and joy reflected in the faces of my friends at work, and I wanted to be part of a church that could teach me how to have that had people around my age. I was at the Catholic Church. I wasn't connected to anyone there, and I wasn't connected to the youth. I wasn't connected to the adults. I just went to church. I just was a regular churchgoer. So that brings me back to what I was saying. I was at the women and children shelter, and I felt a presence, a heavy presence, and someone slapped my forehead, and I woke up. And I think I was supposed to wake up and pray because I had developed a habit of getting up at 3 a.m. in the morning to pray, but I didn't. and decided to go back to sleep. I was already asleep within seconds, and I felt someone slap my forehead for the second time, and I went back to sleep. And the third time, someone slapped my forehead. I woke up and went back to sleep, and this time I sensed there was somebody standing from a distance. I couldn't perceive if the person was bad or good. I knew my room was saturated with a thick, heavy presence. I think it was a good presence, but I didn't feel fear. I don't know what it was. I also sensed a silhouette of a figure, someone I was perceiving that was maybe not physically in my room, but maybe in my room in a way I cannot even put into words or know how to explain, that cannot be described in tangible terms, that could bring understanding to the human mind. I'd like to use the analogy of air. You know it exists. When a person is in a cold climate, they are able to see the air as they inhale and exhale. So, a part of me could perceive I wasn't alone.